Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. One man is in custody after hitting a construction worker and causing a series of crashes in Billings. It all started around 6 tonight when that suspect was involved in a crash at Collier Road and Blue Creek Road. He left the scene, drove north and hit a construction worker on South Billings Boulevard and Stone Street near Newman Elementary School. Tried to leave that crash as well, then crashed head-on into a passenger car, then a GMC Denali pickup truck. The suspect's Ford pickup hit a pole. Police say he tried to run again and then was apprehended by Yellowstone County Sheriff's deputies. AMR took the construction worker and the driver of the passenger car to the hospital with what Lieutenant Brian Krivitz is described as serious but not life-threatening injuries. Krivitz says alcohol appears to be a factor and that the suspect was also transported to the hospital. The Billings crash team, along with the sheriff's deputies and the Montana Highway Patrol, are all investigating. As we head into the reopening of Montana this weekend, Governor Bullock today made it clear the state and its citizens still have an uncertain road ahead to full recovery and something that resembles normal daily life. MTN's Mike Dennison begins our coverage tonight.
Under phase 1 of the reopening, church services and many retail businesses can reopen this coming week, and restaurants and bars on May 4th, but still with strict social distancing protocol. It's already being asked, when do we reach phase 2 with fewer restrictions, and phase 3, which is almost back to normal? Governor Bullock says that depends.
We were taking steps to isolate and social distance long before most states. That's what got us to this point. So I think that phase 2, we need to be looking at what is happening with additional COVID-19 positives. Is it around the state? Is it completely regionalized or in one individual area?
That means testing and tracing the contacts of those who have tested positive for the virus. Right now, anyone with COVID-19 symptoms should be tested, but there's still not enough tests for those without symptoms, even if they've been in contact with someone who tested positive.
We'll continue to work on amping up testing capabilities and opportunities.
Still, local public health officials are tracing contacts and asking them to isolate and get tested if symptoms do appear.
Just as I've worked in every corner of the state to say, don't ever tell me that supply constraints are what's keeping you from testing someone that's symptomatic. We'll be working closely with local health departments to say, if you need additional resources, you tell us and we'll work to get them for you.
Anyone visiting from out of state is still being asked to quarantine for 14 days after they arrive, and that wouldn't be lifted until phase 3. Does that put the summer tourism season in jeopardy? Bullock said he realizes the tourism industry is hurting, like a lot of businesses. But he said he won't be encouraging people to come to Montana until he's sure it's safe for Montanans, and again, that means watching the data.
This is a rapidly dynamic and changing time, so we have to see what's happening on the ground in our communities as we talk about what the next steps are and when we might reopen our state entirely for out-of-state tourism. At this point, we have to see what happens through phase 1 to see how our communities react and how COVID-19 reacts.
One thing we can say with certainty, it looks like social distancing in one form or another will be with us for some time. At the Capitol, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Mike. And you can see Governor Bullock's full plan for reopening and what it will look like on KTVQ.com. At a news conference this afternoon here in Billings, Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton said he has no intention of amending the governor's order at this time, but he could under Montana law if it became clear that the virus was starting to overwhelm hospitals and there were outbreaks in vulnerable populations. He did say as businesses begin to open again here in Billings and across Montana that we can expect to see more cases of COVID-19, but that won't necessarily mean more restrictions.
As businesses reopen and people adjust to this new normal, we expect to see new cases of COVID-19. We expect to see more positive cases. We also expect to see more cases of COVID-19 because we're expanding our testing protocols to include more symptomatic people.
Felton says that more than half of Yellowstone County restaurants, bars, casinos, and other food service establishments have filed their reopening plans with Riverstone Health. There are new limits on how many people can enter and how they can be seated. Felton says guidance is also being given to salons, and there will also be materials to help places of worship with their plans soon. Meanwhile, he's asking everyone to continue to social distance and also keep a daily log of where you've been and who you were with in hopes of stopping any outbreaks sooner.
All of us need to be able to answer that question as we begin to reopen things. Whether you use online calendars, calendar apps, or just the old-fashioned paper calendar, we're going to ask you to keep track of where you've been, when you went, how long you were there, and who you were with.
Well, Felton continuing to ask all of us to do our part. He says failure will likely mean more sick people, increased demand on health care and social service systems, and more families burying their loved ones ultimately. Well, today, Montana reports 3 new positive COVID-19 cases. 2 of those were here in Yellowstone County and 1 in Gallatin County. The total number of reported cases across the state has now reached 442. The state says 306 of those have recovered. 14 people have died. In Wyoming, a Teton County resident has died while fighting COVID-19. The victim is described as an older man with pre-existing conditions. He was hospitalized in another state when he passed away. Wyoming now has 332 confirmed cases and 7 deaths. Wyoming Governor Mark Gordon announced today the state will begin easing restrictions soon, but not before the current deadline of April 30th. Gordon said he would let county health officers apply for variances to the state restrictions. Well, the president says he'll sign a bill to replenish the Paycheck Protection Program tonight after the House passed the measure late this evening. Natalie Brand is at the White House with the latest.
At the daily briefing, the Department of Homeland Security presented a federal study that suggests coronavirus is weakened by exposure to sunlight, heat, and humidity.
Our most striking observation to date is the powerful effect that solar light appears to have on killing the virus, both surfaces and in the air.
The bill is passed.
Over on Capitol Hill, the House passed a nearly $500 billion economic package to replenish the Paycheck Protection Program and give additional money to hospitals and COVID-19 testing.
We're very pleased with the vote, 388 to 5.
Lawmakers also voted to create a special subcommittee to oversee the Trump administration's coronavirus response. With more money now headed to the Paycheck Protection Program, the Treasury Department issued new guidance intended to crack down on big publicly traded companies accessing the loans not intended for them.
Large businesses have sent funds back to us, and in some cases I stopped funds. Either they're not gone out or we've renegotiated it and they're not getting them.
The Treasury Department now warns large companies that took loans but don't meet the guidelines need to pay them back by May 7th. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
All right, Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire joining us now for a first look at weather. Bob, some extremely powerful and dangerous storms tearing through the country last night.
Yeah, we told you about that last night. Now 7 people have died in Oklahoma and Texas. Now tonight we're going to show you some of the video that we finally got to. And take a look at this. This is one of the tornadoes that went through a Walmart over there in Medill, Oklahoma. And take a look at the power of this thing as it was moving through. You can see across. Look at all the debris in the sky there. And then all of a sudden it's going to get up into a bigger storm here. And this thing's crossing the road. And I got to tell you, look at this. Look at that video there. I think the guy was way too close to this funnel cloud. That's for sure. But this whole thing continued to blow on through. At least 2 people died in Medill, Oklahoma from this tornado. And 5 others died in Texas and parts of Arkansas last night because of this whole line of showers and thunderstorms and tornadoes. Now for us, we're looking at weather going to be a little rainy tomorrow, but that's about it. We'll have more about that and your weekend forecast in a few more minutes.
Well, those tornadoes are scary stuff. Thank you, Bob. The state's largest union is urging members to encourage school districts around the state to remain closed for the remainder of the academic year. The Montana Federation of Public Employees, which includes teachers, wants districts to continue distance learning. On Wednesday, Governor Bullock issued his plans for phased reopening, which allows schools to reopen on or after Thursday, May 7th. MFPE says schools are not designed for social distancing, and administrators should use this time to make a plan to allow students to safely return in the fall. Earlier this month, the Office of Public Instruction, the Board of Public Education, and the Montana Public Education Center advised districts to continue distance learning throughout the end of the year. School District 2 in Billings will have a final decision on Monday at their regularly scheduled board meeting. But whether it has been called the Midland Empire Fair, the Yellowstone Exhibition, or the Montana Fair, the event has never been canceled. And now Metro Park staff is looking into how it can safely keep that tradition going. Marketing manager Ray Massey says kids and their livestock are a huge motivation to keep the fair going this year. He says Metro Park's 155 acres provides space for physical distancing, and management is looking at frequent disinfecting, hand sanitizers, and masks.
We've been working really hard along with fairs throughout the state of Montana, our partners, our carnivals, those kind of things, in order to bring fairs to the state of Montana. We are planning for a Montana Fair to occur August 7 through 15. We've been talking to guests to kind of see what they want, but the main thing that we want to make sure happens is we have an open and safe environment for people to come and enjoy Montana Fair or any fair throughout the state of Montana this year.
Metro Park has postponed Toby Keith's scheduled for September 17th now and Cher on October 6th. And another note in Canada, the Calgary Stampede scheduled for July has also been canceled. Well, distancing guidelines may affect the grand reopening of the Alberta Bear Theatre in the fall. Executive Director Jan Dietrich tells Q2 the Alberta Bear Theatre Board of Directors still considering the options and hopes to reach a decision by the end of next week. The theater had planned to showcase its new $13.6 million remodeling at a special black tie event on September 20th featuring Emmy and Tony Award-winning actress and singer Kristen Chenoweth. Tickets for that event were to go on sale in early July. Dietrich did tell us the remodeling project is on schedule to be completed by the end of June. Although Governor Bullock's plan gives the directive for some businesses to begin reopening, the entertainment industry is not included until Phase 2 guidelines are released. The Art House Cinema and Pub is making some changes. Marketing Director Brian Osterreich acknowledges that even after reopening, the film-going experience may look different. Some film openings have been pushed back due to restrictions. He says staff holds a weekly Facebook Live for a sort of virtual film club on Wednesdays. The Art House can also partner with a film distributor who can stream certain films and split the profits 50-50.
Big question mark as far as what things are going to be going forward. So we're all trying to get creative as to how to keep giving people some sort of entertainment, even if they can't come in, and hoping that we can still keep the discussion growing with film art and culture in downtown.
The Art House also features regular shout-outs to local businesses as well as sponsors. They're proud they've not had to furlough or lay off anyone and have not yet let anyone go. Well, the effects of COVID-19 now being felt on Montana's mining world. The tribal owner of Montana's largest coal mine announced the layoff of 130 workers in the Powder River Basin because of slumping demand due to the coronavirus. Officials with the Navajo Transitional Energy Company said they're laying off 73 workers at the Spring Creek mine in Decker and 57 at the Antelope mine in Wyoming. The Spring Creek mine, which had 260 employees, will try to hire back the laid-off workers when economic conditions improve. All right, still to come on tonight's 10 o'clock news, Montana's political battles are heating up. We'll take a closer look at the Democratic candidates vying for the open governor's seat. Plus, we're going to learn the valuable role that the University of Montana may play in helping resolve the coronavirus pandemic. And in sports, a summertime tradition, Montana's East-West Shrine game now canceled. You know the reason why. Scott's in with the latest.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.